Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
From the 1011 Now streaming studio in Lincoln, Nebraska, this is the REPORT Husker Show, sponsored by Fat Dog's Convenience Store.
Hi, everyone. Bill Rentschler alongside Kevin Suits in the 1011 Now streaming studio, and sports director Kevin Suits live down at Memorial Stadium after Nebraska crushes Akron 68-0. Kevin, this was as far away as the last time Akron came here as it possibly could be. The weather was perfect, and the football was good. Yeah, Kevin, last week against Cincinnati, there was a lot of there's still a lot of this, that, and the other thing. 68-0, it's hard to find a lot to complain about there. And so last shutout since 2009, there's just so many things you could kind of go at with a win like this.
Yards through the air. That's a career high. A lot of positives. If you are saying that there's hard to find something to be upset about, well, I'm going to be, I'm going to be that guy, and I'll share with you that Emmett Johnson did fumble inside the 10-yard line, and Nebraska got stuffed on 4th and goal from the 1. So it wasn't a perfect game, but it was still a very good game. Nebraska defeats Akron handily. Let's be honest, Akron was outmatched from the very beginning. Nebraska's better up front. Nebraska played a lot of players. And my overwhelming takeaway from this game was this Nebraska football team has a lot of fun. And I can sense that this team chemistry is at an all-time high under Matt Rule here at Nebraska. Because you saw the moment where Dane Key went to pick up the football and give it to Quinn Clark following his first touchdown. And you saw Dylan Raiola, the first guy on the field, to congratulate TJ Lateef after he scored his first touchdown. And then on the bench, you see guys just looking at the iPad and trying to go over what went wrong the previous play closely in a non-upsetting way. There's just a spirit about this team that I think is maybe my overall, I guess my big takeaway wasn't even about the football. It's just more about an intangible trait that could maybe carry this team a long, long way this
Yeah,
season.
and if you go down, Nebraska just absolutely stuffed the stat sheet. Dylan Raiola, 24 for 31, career high 364 yards, 4 touchdowns. Emmett Johnson, 140 yards rushing, plus some receiving yards. He had 3 touchdowns. I think the only player that probably didn't see the field that folks were maybe disappointed was Archie Wilson. Again, BTN had an interview with his parents with the last few minutes of the game, and they were crossing their fingers maybe just for one punt.
Well, I shared with our viewers during our 10 o'clock newscast, Bill, that there's a national media outlet. They came all the way to Lincoln. They have a crew here. They're doing a story on Archie. And I hope that they were getting video of him during pregame warmups, because that's the only time you were able to get video of him. He stayed on the sideline the entire time. Nebraska's punter did not punt a single time. Kyle Cunanan, the field goal kicker, he was perfect on PATs. He made his field goal attempt, and I think the Huskers might have really struck gold with Kyle Cunanan, because when he decided to transfer to Nebraska, and it happened over the summer, there wasn't a whole lot of fanfare about it. And maybe it's because Nebraska knew that they had John Hull and they had Tristan Albano, and I think a lot of fans maybe assumed that one of those two guys would be Nebraska's place kicker this season. Instead, Cunanan wins the job, and he has been really, really good so far. And also the impact of Mike Eckler, Nebraska's new special teams coordinator. You're seeing his fingerprints take place with Archie and his ability, which we saw in the Cincinnati game, and now Cunanan and just how nails he is, but we haven't seen him kick in the clutch quite yet. But also they block a field goal today, and there were some punt returns that happened today, and they weren't just fair catches, Bill. Nebraska's actually trying to return punts.
Yeah, and I believe Ja'Cory Barney's, and I think there was one other player. I think it was about 90 yards of punt returns tonight, and that eclipsed all of 2024's punt return yards, which it's amazing to be able to watch the game and not have to worry about special teams and to know that, like, hey, wow, this actually might be an X factor for us and really work in our favor.
Yeah, you mentioned the punt return yardage in total. It's 92 on the night on 5 returns. Ja'Cory Barney Jr. had a 39-yard return, and that's refreshing to see. It's been a long time since Nebraska's had a bit of a threat in the punt return game, and not to spend too much time on special teams, but they grade out pretty well following the 68-0
And so, Kevin,
Nebraska
obviously gets to be at home now for a number of weeks. It's not until mid-October that they're actually going to go out on the road. Looking ahead to maybe next week, after a performance like tonight, does it kind of set the bar maybe a little bit too high for next week? Houston Christian coming into town. They lost their matchup tonight against the Eastern Kentucky Colonels. So what do you think next week? You think we could see this 2 weeks in a row?
Absolutely. I say that pretty confidently. In fact, when I was on KLIN on Friday morning when we were doing the Husker Tailgate show, they were doing a deep dive on the numbers. When was the last time Nebraska played back-to-back opponents that were so far down in the Seagren rankings? And that basically ranks every team in college football. And I believe this, based on the statistic and the metrics that they were looking at, they had gone all the way back to 2006, and we're still going to roll the dial back even further. So, yeah, it's two lighter opponents for Nebraska, but I tell you what, Nebraska still played Dylan Raiola midway through the third quarter in this game, and it's giving the Huskers a chance to, 1, gain confidence, 2, gain depth. And this coaching staff is going to continue to put everybody on the field and give them a chance, because there were times tonight where I just wanted to scan the defense and find out who's on the field, because they were mixing and matching personnel. Max Guthrie at safety. Matt Rule mentioned him during the week in one of the interviews that he was on the come at safety. And sometimes you hear things like that, and you just kind of let him go in one ear and out the other, and you don't know how much truth there is to it, because maybe he's just trying to promote a player that's practiced really well. Well, there is meaning behind Matt Rule's words, because here we are in the first half of Nebraska's home opener. Max Guthrie is on the field and playing alongside Deshaun Singleton. So, that doesn't just happen by accident. So that's something that can be gained here, not only this week in week 2, but also in week 3. If the Houston Christian game plays out like this Akron one does, there can be confidence gained, and not just by the starting units. And there's an extended body of work to look at in the backup running back situation, at the left tackle situation, and then any other spot where the coaching staff feels like there's a pretty small margin.
Kevin, I wanted to get your, obviously you've been covering the team for a long time, and it feels like it's been a long time since we've seen a game like tonight where Nebraska just soundly beats the socks off a team that they should be. And I think a lot of fans tonight, really a cathartic win for them. In your time, just how far up there does this rank in terms of just a dominant win by Nebraska?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of, what are the first games that even come to mind. Bethune-Cookman would be a game that would come to mind. I think Western Kentucky when Adrian Martinez was on the team, but that wasn't 68-0. Yeah, fans enjoyed it. And, I think there's a little bit of irony in there somewhere that Nebraska has this lopsided of a win, 68-0, with all these highlights, and a night game with beautiful weather, and alcohol is sold inside Memorial Stadium for the first time. I feel like somehow everything just kind of lined up, not that you needed any alcohol to enjoy this game, but, man, it just, for the people that enjoy those beverages, it had to make the experience.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. The weather was absolutely picture perfect tonight. Again, I think it was 2018. You had to get the rain gear for the camera, and again, I said it at the beginning, but as far away from that tonight as it possibly could have been. Kevin, you've had a long day. Any last thoughts? Watching this 68-0 win.
The football was the football. It was pretty good from Nebraska in all 3 phases. The moment of the night, though, is Luke Lindenmeyer. getting down on a knee, proposing to his girlfriend, who's one of the Scarlets here. And, Luke just got done with his press conference not too long ago, learned a little bit about their relationship. He met her at church. She loves Jesus. He loves Jesus. He just got baptized a couple weeks ago. It's a really unique story. And Luke just cannot stop smiling. I asked him, I was like, where was the ring? And one of the doctors on the team had it in his pocket the entire night. He did ask Coach Rule ahead of the game what he thought about him proposing following the game. Coach Rule signed off on it. Not many players knew about it. But right as the game ended, the team shakes hands with Akron. Then there's the prayer led by Ron Brown. A lot of Nebraska's players started to trickle off, and that's where I kind of positioned myself to get video of some of the players maybe saluting the crowd and walking off the field. You never know what the celebration will look like, but that didn't happen. In fact, there were a couple of players that were saying, come here, get back over here. And at that moment, everybody's media-wise, what's happening? What are we getting back over there for? And then before you know it, all the Scarlets are right there, and a number of the players are there, and Luke Lindenmeyer is down on a knee. She says yes, and that's the moment.
And said can't celebrate too much tonight because they got to get up early to head to church tomorrow morning. So good for Luke and his new fiance. I believe it's Kaylin. And again, just a good night for Husker Nation all around. Kevin, we'll let you again kind of get packed up and head back. We appreciate your time.
All right, thank you so much, Bill. Nebraska wins 68-0 over Akron. Jokingly, but not jokingly, we go from the light show and the drone show, which is super cool, to a morning game. No drone show, but there will be breakfast pizza inside the press box at Memorial Stadium next Saturday. Or at least I hope there is. If not, we got to talk to somebody.
All right, that was Kevin Suits reporting live down from the Hawks Championship Center following Nebraska's 68-0 win over Akron. Appreciate his time. Again, tons of video coming out from tonight. Obviously, again, tons of stats. Again, Huskers filled up the stat sheet. So, again, appreciate everyone for tuning in and watching again. Late night edition here of the REPORT Husker Show brought to you by Fat Dog's Convenience Store. Hope everyone has a nice Saturday night.
You've been listening to the REPORT Husker Show, sponsored by Fat Dog's Convenience Store. Watch, listen, and stream on the 1011 Now app, on YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more Husker coverage throughout the week, watch the Report on 1011 Sports at 6 and 10 p.m.